Here. Got a big crowd in here today. I'm surprised. It's really nice to see you. It is a big crowd. 3 people in the temple right now. No, actually 5. Davey's here upstairs. It's me, Rita, Helen, and Maria. That's what I thought. It's really nice to see you here. And I see Sunanda, yay, and Kitty, and I see John, and I see Elizabeth, and Ganga. Gange Chimana Chaiva Gadavai Saraswati. And I see Dottie. Ganga, how are you doing? Things all calmed down there in West Palm Beach? Good? Okay.
Things are pretty good. I would say that it was crazy for 2 days and then went back to normal.
Okay, now it's back to okay. They said you're actually going to be getting some cold weather in Florida.
We actually have some right now. It's pretty nice.
You mean, by cold weather, what do you mean, like 70?
70s.
The wind is blowing so hard here for this. Is this day 3?
Really?
Yeah, it's just been, sometimes it slows during the day. Like yesterday morning was vicious. Calmed down a bit in the afternoon, then started again. This morning seemed okay, it was bad, and then it stopped. It was like, oh, that's so nice, then it started up again. It's just, Sunanda, are you getting it down there in Irvine?
We were, but the last 2 days have been calm.
Nice. It's like,
Yeah, a lot of leaves around.
oh yeah, it's just like, I'm just grateful we don't have big branches coming down. John, how is it over there on the Riviera?
It's very nice, actually. A little cold this morning. I had a fire in the fireplace, but snowy doesn't seem to mind, and that's what's important.
Yeah, nice,
Hello.
nice fur coat. There's
I'm on
Lita.
Zoom. Everybody's talking about the weather.
So that's, yeah, it started.
Everybody's fine.
It started up again here. So, but the good thing
weather
is,
out
every
there?
time we used to
No,
get
just everybody's.
a bad wind, we would get like we would have like the electricity would go off. So our electricity hasn't gone off in a really long time. So this is a good thing. So we are going to now the gospel. And I'm just going to check on the date here. We are the chapter is 37, the Master Narendra. We're on Sunday, March 1st, 1885. And we are at a sort of a critical stage here because Narendra had just gone through this big upheaval, mental upheaval, where his family was starving and he was looking for a job. He couldn't get a job anywhere. He was beside himself. And then he had this experience. It's like, it's all Maya. It's all Maya. It's all fleeting. So he decided that he was going to become a monk and was going to go away and not tell Sri Ramakrishna about it. Well, of course, Sri Ramakrishna knew everything. And so Sri Ramakrishna sang to him, we are afraid to speak, and yet we are afraid to keep still. In our minds, O Radha, half believe that we're about to lose you. And Narendra starts to weep. So this is the point at which we're entering into this. And it's just such a critical, beautiful time because you see this is actually the beginning of, this is the incipient portion of the Ramakrishna order here, where it's like, yes, he's now got the renunciation going, but time, place, and circumstance is so important. So we will see here. I'll read just the last little portion, which kind of gives us an introduction to this. It's also a really interesting thing with Mahima, who says, okay, Master, to Mahima, go forward, push on, you'll discover the forest of sandalwood. Go farther, and you'll discover the silver mine. Go farther still, and you will see the gold mine. Do not stop there. Go forward, and you will reach the mines of rubies and diamonds. Therefore, I say, go forward. Mahima says at this point, but sir, something holds us back. We can't move. Master with a smile, and this is after his big thing with Narendra. Why? Cut the reins. Cut them with the sword of God's name. The shackles of Kala, time, are cut by Kali's name. Every now and then the master cast his gracious look at Narendra. He said, "Have you now become an experienced physician?" Quoting a Sanskrit verse, he said, "He who has killed only 100 patients is a novice on medicine, but he's an expert after killing 1,000. Was the master hinting that Narendra, even though still young, had had many painful experiences of life? Narendra smiled and kept silent. It was afternoon. The devotees were seated around the master, listening to Nabai Chaitanya's singing. Suddenly the master left the room, but the music continued. M accompanied the master. Sri Ramakrishna walked across the courtyard and entered the temple of Radhakanta. He bowed down before the images, M following him. There was some red powder in a tray. The master offered a little red powder to the images and bowed down again. Next, he proceeded to the Kali temple. Passing up the 7 steps, he stood on the open porch and looked at the image. Then he entered the shrine, offered red powder to the Divine Mother, and saluted her. As he left the temple, he asked M, "Why didn't you bring Babaram with you?" Sri Ramakrishna returned to his room, accompanied by M and another devotee carrying the tray of red powder. He offered a little of it to all the pictures of the gods and goddesses in his room, but not to those of Jesus Christ and himself. Then he threw the powder on the bodies of Narendra and the other devotees. They all took the dust of his feet. In the cool shade of the late afternoon, the devotees walked about in the temple garden, leaving the master and M in the room. The master whispered to M, "All say that they meditate well, but why is it different with Paltu? What do you think of Narendra? He's utterly guileless. Just now he is faced with many difficult family problems, and so his spiritual progress is a little checked, but it will not be so for long." Narendra was arguing on the veranda with a Vedantist. Now and then the master went out to look at them. As the devotees gathered in the room, he asked Mahima to recite a hymn. Mahima chanted a verse from the Mahanirvana Tantra. "We worship the Brahma consciousness in the lotus of the heart, the undifferentiated who is adored by Hari, Hara, and Brahma." Mahima recited a few more hymns, and at last one to Shiva by Shankaracharya, that compared the world to a deep well and a wilderness. Mahima was a householder. The hymn ran thus: "O great God, O thou auspicious one, with the moon shining in thy crest, slayer of Madana, wielder of the trident, unmoving one, Lord of the Himalayas, O consort of Durga, Lord of all creatures, thou who scatterest the distress of the fearful, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. O beloved of Parvati's heart, O thou moon-crested deity, master of every being, Lord of hosts, O thou Lord of Parvati, O Vamadeva, self-existent one, O Rudra, wielder of the bow, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. O blue-throated Shiva, whose ensign is the bull, the O five-faced one, Lord of the worlds, who wearest snakes upon thy wrists, O thou auspicious one, O Shiva, O Pashupati, O thou the Lord of Parvati, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. O Lord of the universe, O Shiva Shankara, O God of gods, thou who dost bear the Ganges in thy matted locks, thou the master of Pramata and Nandika." Those are attendants of Shiva. "O Hara, Lord of the world, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world." Oh my goodness, this goes on some longer. Here we go. We're going to keep continuing this. "O King of Kashi, Lord of the cremation ground of Manikarnika, O mighty hero, thou did the story of Daksha's sacrifice, O all-pervasive one, Lord of hosts, omniscient one, who are the sole indweller in every heart, O Lord, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. O great God, compassionate one, benign deity, O Vyomakesha, blue-throated one, Lord of hosts, your body is smeared with ashes, thou art garlanded with human skulls. Rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. O you who dwellest on Mount Kailash, whose carrier is the bull, O conqueror of death. Three-eyed one, Lord of the three worlds, beloved in Narayana, conqueror of lust. Thou, Shakti's Lord, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. Lord of the universe, refuge of the whole world. O thou of infinite forms, soul of the universe, O you in whom repose the infinite virtues of the world. O you adored by all, compassionate one, O friend of the poor, rescue me, helpless as I am, from the trackless forest of this miserable world. Master to Mahima, why do you call this world a deep well or a trackless forest? An aspirant may think so in the beginning, but how can he be frightened by the world if he holds fast to God? Then he finds that, and he quotes this very world is a mansion of mirth. Here I can eat, here drink, and make merry. Why should you be frightened? Hold fast to God. What if the world is like a forest of thorns? Put on shoes and walk on the thorns. Whom should you fear? You won't have to play again. You're part of the thief in the game of hide and seek. Once you touch the granny, here's there's telling us a footnote on a different page. Basically, it's like hide and seek. You touch the granny and you're safe, right? King Janaka used to fence with two swords, the one of knowledge and the other of action. Nothing could frighten an expert player. To M. My mind is drawn to what he just recited. Ramakrishna referred to the hymns chanted by Mahima. Nabai Chaitanya and the other devotees began to sing. They were joined by the master, who danced, drunk with divine love. Afterwards he said, "This is the one thing needful, the chanting of God's name. All else is unreal. Love and devotion alone are real, and other things are of no consequence." Later, Sri Ramakrishna went out in the direction of the Panchavati. He asked M about Binod, a student in M's school, who now and then experienced ecstasy while thinking of God. The master loved him dearly. As he was returning to his room with M, he asked, "Well, some speak of me as an incarnation of God. What do you think about it?" The master came back to his room and sat on the small couch. He repeated the question to M. The other devotees were seated at a distance and could not follow the conversation. "Master, what do you say?" M. I think so too. You are like Sri Chaitanya. Master, is it a full manifestation of God or a part? Tell me how much. M. I don't know, sir. But it is true that there is in you an incarnation of the divine power. There's no doubt that God alone dwells in you. Master, that is true. Chaitanya also wanted to realize Shakti, the divine power. Narendra was engaged in a heated discussion. Ram, who had recently recovered from illness, joined him. Master to M. I don't like such discussions. To Ram. Will you stop that? You haven't been well. All right, go on softly. Don't get so excited. To M. I don't like these discussions. I used to weep and pray to the Divine Mother, saying, "Oh, Mother, one man says it is this, while another says it is that. Do thou tell me, Mother, what is the truth?" And that's the end of that day. Are there any questions or
Is it double ornament that he's putting the ash? I
it's March 1st. I don't think it's Dol Purnima. Well, hold on. Yeah, it was the day the Dol. Yeah, it is Dol Purnima. Yes, good on Amrita. Yes.
I was wondering.
Why they got yeah. Good call. Yes. That's the day, or otherwise known as Holi, when everyone throws colored paint at each other. It's become, God help you when you go to India, you've got to watch out before you get slammed. Okay, now we move on to Saturday, March 7th, 1885. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Sri Ramakrishna was in his room at Dakshineshwar, conversing happily with his devotees. Babaram, the younger Naran, Paltu, Haripada, Mohini Mohan, and others were present. A young Brahmin who had been staying with the master a few days was also there. The Holy Mother, Sri Ramakrishna's wife, was living in the Nahabat. Occasionally she would come to Sri Ramakrishna's room to attend to his needs. Mohini Mohan, that's a pseudonym for M, had brought his wife and Nabin's mother with him to the temple garden from Calcutta. The ladies were with the Holy Mother. They were waiting for an opportunity to visit the master when the men devotees would leave the room. Ramakrishna was sitting on a small couch. He looked at the young devotees and his face beamed with joy. Rakhal was then not living at Dakshineshwar with the master. Since his return from Vrindavan, he'd been living at home. Master smiling. Rakhal is now enjoying his pension. Since his return from Vrindavan, he has been staying at home. He's been staying at home. His wife is there. But he said to me that he would not accept work even if he were offered a salary of 1,000 rupees. Rakhal would lie down here and say to me that he didn't even care for my company. He was then passing through such an exalted state. Bhavanat is married, but he spends the whole night in spiritual conversation with his wife. The couple pass their time talking of God alone. I said to him, "Have a little fun with your wife now and then." "What?" he retorted angrily. "Shall we, too, indulge in frivolity?" Ramakrishna began to talk about Narendra. Master, to the devotees. I haven't felt the same strong longing for the younger Naren that I felt for Narendra. To Haripada. Do you go to Girish Ghosh's house? Haripada. Yes, I go there very often. He is our neighbor. Master. Does Narendra go there too? Haripada. Yes, I see him there occasionally. Master. What does he say in reply to Girish? And it has in brackets here. Girish Ghosh spoke of Ramakrishna as an incarnation of God. Haripada. Narendra has been defeated in the argument. Master. No. Narendra says Girish Ghosh has such strong faith. Why should I contradict him? The brother of Judge Anukal Mukhopadhyay's son-in-law was in the room. The master asked him, "Do you know Narendra?" Brother. Yes, sir. He's a very intelligent young man. Master, to the devotees. He must be good because he speaks highly of Narendra. Narendra was here the other day and sang with Trilokya Sanyal, but that day his singing seemed flat to me. Baburam was a student in the entrance class in the school where M taught. Master, to Baburam. Where are your books? Aren't you attending to your studies? To M. He wants to stick to both. That is very difficult. What will you gain by knowing God partially? Vashishtadeva, great sage that he was overcome by the death of his sons. That amazed Lakshmana, and he asked Rama the reason. Rama said, "Brother, what is there to wonder at? He who has knowledge has ignorance also. Brother, go beyond both knowledge and ignorance. If a thorn enters the sole of your foot, you get another thorn to take out the first one. Afterwards, you throw both away. Likewise, one procures the thorn of knowledge to remove the thorn of ignorance. Then one goes beyond both knowledge and ignorance." Baburam smiling. That is what I want. Master smiling. But my child, you can't attain it by... But my child, can you attain it by holding on to both? But if you want that, then come away. Baburam smiling. Take me away from the world. Master to M. Rakhal lived with me, but that was different. His father agreed to it. But if these boys stay here, there will be trouble. To Baburam. You have no strength of mind. You haven't much courage. Just see how the younger Naren says, "I will come away for good." Sri Ramakrishna came down from the small couch and sat among the youngsters on the floor. M sat by his side. Master to M. I have been seeking one who has totally renounced lust and greed. When I find a young man, I think that perhaps he will live with me. But everyone raises some objection or another. A ghost sought a companion. It is said that a man who dies on a Saturday or Tuesday becomes a ghost. Therefore, whenever the ghost saw anybody fall from a roof or stumble or faint on the road, on either of those days, he would run to him, hoping that the man, through an accidental death, would become a ghost and he would have his companion. But such was his ill luck that everyone revived. The poor thing could not get a companion. Just see, Rakhal always gives his wife as an excuse. He says, "What will become of her?" When I touched Narendra on the chest, he became unconscious. Then he cried out, "Oh, what have you done to me? Don't you know I have a father and a mother? Why has God made me lead this kind of life?" Oh, there's a footnote here from Swami Nikhilananda. Evidently, Shamakrishna was referring to monastic life. Chaitanya Deva became a sannyasi so that all would salute him. Whoever salutes an incarnation, even once, obtains liberation. Mohini Mohan had brought a basket of sweetmeats for Shamakrishna. "Master, who brought these sweets?" Babaram pointed to Mohini Mohan. Shamakrishna touched the sweets, uttering the word Om, and ate a little. Then he distributed them among the devotees. To the surprise of others, he fed the younger Naren and a few of the boys with his own hand. Master to M. This has a meaning. There is a greater manifestation in God in people of pure heart. In former days, I used to go to Kamarpakor, and I would feed some of the young boys with my own hand. Chini Shankari would say, "Why doesn't he feed us that way?" But how could I? They led an immoral life. Who would feed them? Shamakrishna was in the happiest mood with his young and pure-souled devotees. He was seated on the small couch and was doing funny imitations of a kirtani. That's a woman singer of kirtan, of devotional songs. He said, the devotees laughed heartily. The kirtani is dressed lavishly and is covered with ornaments. She sings standing on the floor, a colored kerchief in her hand. Now and then she coughs to draw people's attention, and she blows her nose, raising her nose ring. When a respectable gentleman enters the room, she welcomes him with appropriate words, still continuing her song. Now and then she pulls her sari from her arms to show off her jewels. The devotees were convulsed with laughter at the mimicry of Shamakrishna. Paltu rolled on the ground. Pointing to him, the master said to M, "Look at that child. He's rolling with laughter." He said to Paltu with a smile, "Don't report this to your father, or he will lose the little respect he has for me. You see, he's an Englishman." They mean that English-educated Indian. Master to the devotees. There are people who indulge in all kinds of gossip at the time of their daily devotions. As you know, one is not permitted to talk then, so they make all kinds of signs, keeping their lips closed. In order to say, "Bring this, bring that," they make sounds like, "huh, uh-huh." All such things they do. Laughter. Again, there are some who bargain for fish while telling their beads. As they count the rosary, with a finger they point out the fish, indicating, "That one, please." They reserve all their business for that time. Laughter. There are women who come to the Ganges for their bath, and instead of thinking of God, gossip about no end of things. What jewels did they offer at the time of your son's marriage? Has so-and-so returned from her father-in-law's house? So-and-so is seriously ill. So-and-so went to see the bride. We hope that that they will offer a magnificent dowry, and there will be a great feast. Harish always nags at me. He can't stay away from me even an hour. "My child, I couldn't come to see you all these days. I was so busy with the betrothal of so-and-so's daughter." You see, they've come to bathe in the holy river, and yet they indulge in all kinds of worldly thought. The master began to look intently at the younger Naren and went into samadhi. Did he see God himself in the pure soul devotee? The devotee silently watched the figure of Shamakrishna motionless in samadhi. A few minutes before, there had been so much laughter in the room, and now there was a deep silence, as if no one were there. The master sat with folded hands, as in his photograph. After a short while, his mind began to come down to the relative plane. He heaved a long sigh and became aware of the outer world. He looked at the devotees and began to talk with them of their spiritual progress. Master to the younger Naren. "I've been eager to see you. You will succeed. Come here once in a while. Well, what do you prefer, jnana or bhakti?" The younger Naren. "Pure bhakti." Master. "But how can you love someone unless you know them?" Pointing to M with a smile. "How can you love him unless you know him?" To M. "Since a pure-souled person is asked for pure bhakti, It must have some meaning. One does not seek bhakti of one's own accord without inborn tendencies. This is the characteristic of prema bhakti. There is another kind of bhakti called jnana bhakti, which is the love of God based on reasoning. To the younger Naren, let me look at your body. Take off your shirt. Ah, fairly broad chest. You will succeed. Come here now and then. Sri Ramakrishna was still in an ecstatic mood. He spoke tenderly to the other devotees about their future. Master Dipal too. You will succeed too, but it will take a little time. To Babaram, why don't I attract you to me? It is just to avoid trouble. To Mohini Mohan, as for you, you're all right. There is a little yet to be done. When that is achieved, nothing will remain. Neither duty, nor work, nor the world itself. Is it good to get rid of everything? As Sri Ramakrishna spoke these words, he looked at Mohini affectionately, as if scanning his inmost feelings. Was Mohini really wondering whether it be wise to renounce all for God? After a while, Sri Ramakrishna said, God binds the Bhagavata Pandit to the world with one tie. Otherwise, who would remain to explain the sacred book? In other words, Sri Ramakrishna knows that he's going to be writing this Katamrita later, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So, of course, he's going to keep him in the world. He's going to be reporting on everything. This is our kind of our ur text. He said he helps keep the Pandit bound for the good of men. That is why the Divine Mother has kept you in the world. Now Sri Ramakrishna spoke to the young Brahmin. Master, give up knowledge and reasoning, accept bhakti. Bhakti alone is the essence. Is this the third day of your stay here? Brahmin, with folded hands, yes, sir. Master, have faith, depend on God. Then you will not have to do anything yourself. Mother Kali will do everything for you. Jnana goes as far as the outer court, but bhakti can enter the inner court. The pure self is unattached. Both vidya and avidya are in it, but it is unattached. Sometimes there is good and sometimes a bad smell in the air, but the air itself is unaffected. Once Vyasadeva was about to cross the Jamuna. The gopis were also there. They wanted to go to the other side of the river to sell curd, milk, and cream. But there was no ferry at the time. They were all worried about how to cross the river when Vyasa said to them, I'm very hungry. The milkmaids fed him with milk and cream. He finished almost all their food. Then Vyasa said to the river, O Jamuna, if I have not eaten anything, then your waters will part and we shall walk through. It so happened. The river parted and a pathway formed between the waters. Following that path, the gopis and Vyasa crossed the river. Vyasa had said, if I have not eaten anything, that means the real man is pure Atman. Atman is unattached and beyond Prakriti. It has neither hunger nor thirst. It knows neither birth nor death. It does not age. It does not die. It is immutable as Mount Sumeru. He who has attained this knowledge of Brahman is a Jivan Mukta, liberated while living in the body. He rightly understands that the Atman and the body are two separate things. After realizing God, one does not identify the Atman with the body. These two are separate, like the kernel and the shell of the coconut when the milk dries up. The Atman moves, as it were, within the body. When the milk of worldly mindedness has dried up, one gets self-knowledge. Then one feels that Atman and body are two separate things. The kernel of a green almond or betel nut cannot be separated from the shell, but when they are ripe, the juice dries up and the kernel separates from the shell. After the attainment of knowledge of Brahman, the milk of worldly mindedness dries up. But it is extremely difficult to attain the knowledge of Brahman. One doesn't get it by merely talking about it. Some people feign it, smiling. There was a man who was a great liar, but on the other hand, he used to say he had the knowledge of Brahman. When someone took him to task for telling lies, he said, why, this world is truly like a dream. If everything is unreal, then can truth itself be real? Truth itself is as unreal as falsehood. All laugh. Sri Ramakrishna sat with the devotees on the mat on the floor. He was smiling. He said to the devotees, please stroke my feet gently. They carried out his request. He said to M, There is great significance in this. That is, the note says here, the stroking of his feet. Placing his hand on his heart, the Master said, "If there's anything here, then through this service, the ignorance and illusion of the devotees will be completely destroyed." And I think that's a good place to stop. Are there any questions or comments on this section here? Yeah, Amrita.
Is Ramakrishna asking the devotees how they see him? In other words, as an incarnation to, I mean, he can obviously know what they're thinking. So why is he asking them what they
That's a really good question. I think perhaps he wants them to think about it, and also because M, as the recorder of the gospel, wants us to think about it. But he asks Girish, it's a question he often asks, "What do you think of me?"
Right, right, but then there's that idea, and I think Ramakrishna says it someplace, only a saint can recognize a saint.
Right.
So here we have people who may be highly developed spiritual potential or development or whatever, but does that kind of person have that insight to understand that, or was he just?
I don't know, because he also frequently mentions the 7 rishis who were highly evolved. They just saw Rama as the son of Dasharatha and not as an incarnation, even though he was an incarnation. It might also be a temperament, whether you're a bhakta or a jnani, but it also could be that their spiritual development. I don't know. It's something that's often been asked, like, why does he keep asking people, "What do you think of me?" I personally think he wants them to think about it, but with M, obviously he wants us to think about it too.
Right.
What do you think?
He still, Thakur often said he doesn't like to be called teacher or master or God.
Yes, yeah. What was it? He doesn't like to be called guru or karta, Baba or karta.
Right.
Those 3 things. So they call him Mashai. Sir, Mashai. Mashai. But now everyone calls him Thakur. But he didn't say, "Don't call me Thakur." So. But it's a lovely reading. Just before I came here, I was reading a quotation from Swami Brahmananda Maharaj saying, "I will give you wisdom in one sentence." He said, "Read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna every day and you will find everything." Which is like, oh, that's so nice right before the Gospel reading. It's like good timing. So here we got some important announcements. Okay, tomorrow, Swami Vedarupananda will speak on the voice of freedom, which we're all looking forward to. And Wednesday, we'll have another 5 p.m. reading of Glimpses of a Great Soul, a portrait of Swami Sardananda by Swami Asheshananda. And next Friday, we will again have our Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna reading. Did I say Friday? Saturday. Saturday at 5 o'clock. I think so. That's the 23rd, isn't it? When is Thanksgiving? Okay, so so next Saturday, good. Swami Sarvadevan will be here next week. So that will be a Bhagavad Gita class at 5 o'clock. All right, any other comments or questions out here or out there? Okay, well, good to see everybody and every location. Okay, conclude with the chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all for joining. Good to see everybody. Stay warm. And your freezing cold 70-degree Florida, yeah, break my heart.
I don't know how I can take this anymore.
Good. Okay. See you later, everybody. Chama.
I'm